Okay guys, here we go again. This is Friday Night 9 Ball, and we join this match between Mr. Bill and Ron, otherwise known as Free Ball. And we'll have a quick look at the bracket and see where we are in the tournament. We've got Mr. Bill having just beat Snotty, and we have Ron who's just defeated Romario. Now both of those players that lost there go into the one lost side, so they've still got a second chance. And the bracket hasn't updated, it's running a wee bit slow. Let's just see if it'll change this time, but we know that Mr. Bill is playing Ron, who should be in that bracket there. And this match as well, remember this tournament I should say is a handicap tournament, but these two players are playing scratch, so their ratings are pretty close to one another. So it's a race to 7, and we're at an interesting part in the first rack. Not a great shot there by Free Ball or Ron. Needs to bounce a little bit. He could rest onto the 8 ball and leave a cut on this 7. He doesn't want to be too ambitious. The cue ball's going to run into the 8 ball. Looks as if he's going to try drawing it or doing something. Well, that's pretty much the same thing, but the good thing about it is it does leave the 8 ball where it was. And you just run the cue ball down to the end rail and back up. And you might just want to run down here to the bottom rail and leave that 9 into the middle. He stunned it. It's a tight angle, but you should be able to drop it in. So Mr. Bill gets first blood. And remember, it's winner's break as well, or winner breaks I should say, and I think a couple of balls have gone in. And a nice easy 1 ball to start with as well, and all the balls sitting nicely in the open. Cue ball's just going to run to the left slightly here, so he either goes forward and down the table a bit, give him a better angle than the 5, and the natural angle here is to come off the side rail and back out for the 6. And this is a problem ball. This is the one that could decide the rack, getting from the 6 down to the 7 here at the bottom of the screen. And he's drew that nice, and he's even left a slight angle just to bring the cue ball somewhere up past the 9. That would be the simple way to do it, up by the middle pocket or close to it, but he's digging down, and maybe that was the wrong shot. Remember what we say, as soon as you start digging down in the cue ball, you can easily send the object ball offline, which Mr. Bill did there. The simpler shot would have been to run the cue ball down to more or less where Ron has put the cue ball right now, because he just needs to roll the 8 in, and he's got a simple 9. So that rack should most likely have been Mr. Bill's. Ron ties the match up at 1 rack all with a break as well, and 3 ball goes into the bottom right, and another one into the left in the middle, which was the, what was it, the 5 ball. And I don't really think he's got a shot in this one. I don't think it banks. Will it miss that 9? No. But he's got the next best thing. He's got a full ball snooker on it. But an easy kick here. Good likelihood that the one might go in as well. Oh, that was bad. Totally misread the angle there, and it's ball in hand now. And again, the balls are all just sitting nice, nothing awkward. Now he doesn't want to hug this rail here. Well, got a bit of work to do with the cue ball. And the cue ball may well collide with the 8. It's just missed it. And that's probably about the worst place the cue ball could have finished. Or can he see that 6? No, he can't. So out with the jump stick. Very difficult to judge the close balls like that now without the angle guide to help you. And that's immediately given control to Mr. Bill. Ball in hand. Nice angle he's left there. And should be able to either draw across or stun down. A little bit of left English to kick the cue ball over. And again, keeping it simple would just be to run through and leave the 9 into the opposite end. He's ran a bit too far now, he's let it run round the corner, so all he's got now is the bank, when he should have a much easier shot. Well, he went for the cut into the middle and he gets it. But that, again, was an untidy finish. And I think the 4's gone into the right middle, but no shot in the 1, so just to push out. And sending the 2 ball down towards the 1. He might be put back in here, I don't know. There's not an awful lot going here for Ron. And this cue ball, if you can get this 1 thin enough, he could bring it back round behind the 9. Or in this case, he just played it soft. Hid it behind the 2. And of course the other problem here is the 3 balls blocking the path for the cue ball off that top rail. So he's had to play it with a bit of English, and that's how he hit the 3. It's difficult to judge the amount of English you needed to put in the cue ball there. So another ball in hand. Now he either plays this with a lot of inside English to check the cue ball to stop it going over towards the 7 and the 9. Well, he tried to sneak round behind him and forgot about the 2. So this is a bit messy. These players are much more capable than this, and again, in my opinion, they're just rushing it far too much. They keep forgetting that the shot clock's there, and it's there for a reason. It's there to keep the game going, but at the same time, you've got to use the time. Plus, you've got an extension in each rack, so there's plenty of time to get a shot played, and there's enough time just to take your time. And this 6 ball is far too straight, so wasn't much you could do with the cue ball. The 7 does cut past the 9, I think, but it's a really, really tough shot. So he's went for the bank, and he's going to get it 3rd time lucky. Well, 2nd time lucky. Missed it in the first pocket, got it in the bottom right. And now it's simple. So now going all square again. 2 racks all. And let's see if we can actually get one of these guys to run a rack. But Ron won't be doing it in this rack because he's came up dry. Well, that wasn't a good shot because that's just immediately set up the combo in the 6. And again, he's left an angle on that 1 to bring the cue ball across for the 2 down the left rail. But this time 2 straight in the 2, so you can only go forward or backward here. And he's drawn it nicely for the 3. And the cue ball, let's have a look round from behind it and see, you know what, he's going to do well to avoid the traffic down there. Well, he just played it gentle enough to make sure he didn't collide with him, and he's left the tougher cut shot on the 4. But the cue ball's going to come up here, and it's all about pace, and he's played that well. And he's got a nice angle on the 5 just to drop behind the 7. Oh, that's bad. That's a bad one. Now, if we're counting up the amount of errors made by each player, then their total performance average would be dropping like a stone. Well, Ron knows he should have won that one, but as it is, he's going back a rack down again. Mr. Bill leads by 3 racks to 2, and of course he's breaking in the 6th rack. And I think the 5 ball is into the top left as we look. And I think once again he's got no joy in the 1. Looking to probably just kick at it. Oh, well, very unlikely to get this and keep the cue ball on the table. And this 2 ball is going to have to be played at a distance because the cue ball needs to run right up here or down to the bottom of the table here so he can get the potting angle in the 2. It needs to keep going. Let's have a quick look here. He's got the, I think he's got enough of the ball that he can pot it. And should just roll this 3 in dead weight, but he doesn't want to leave the cue ball on the side rail because he's still got to go right up this table here to the bottom of the screen for this 6. So he's got a lot of work to do with the cue ball. Needs to draw this back with bottom left hand English to actually kick the cue ball down to the bottom of the table here, somewhere over by the 9. That's the shot. Well, that shot was on. He had enough room off the rail to play it, so he's just trying to play a safety. Now at 3-2 down there, I think that was a good opportunity for free ball Ron to get onto that 6, and he didn't play it. And he got no success with the jump shot. He got the hit on it, but has left everything just lying there for the taking. And this is Mr. Bill's chance to build a lead here. Cue ball coming out nice. And he would rather have a slight angle in that, which I think he does. So he can go forward and bring the cue ball back up the table, but he's drawn it again. Finally, it does go to 4 racks to 2 in favour of Mr. Bill. And we're still to see somebody run a rack. And this might be an opportunity. I think he can see enough of the 1 just to pot it. He'll be on the 2 ball, no problem. Well, he's digging out the jump stick again. And of course, he's got no control over the cue ball with that. I thought he might have been able to see enough, but when you're not behind the cue ball, you don't get the best view of the shot. But he didn't have a shot to play in the 2 other than try and hide it for safety. And that's an easy hit. Hit it off the bottom and the side rail. And that's gone fairly safe. And there's good opportunities for cover here. He's looking to get a decent safety. But if he could see enough of the right hand side of that too, as we look at it, that would be the better shot, because if he plays the left hand side, he's sending it to the right here towards the pocket. Well, I don't know what that was. Some over ambitious attempt at a bank. And it wasn't really a clean path to get a bank, was it? And the pressure's on Ron here because he's got a 2 rack deficit and needs to get himself this rack to really keep him in the game. Doesn't want to drift 3 racks behind. And again, that shot wasn't what was going to be the best way of getting onto this 8, because he's really close to the rail. And now he's playing into a blind pocket, so this is not easy, although the cue ball is going to come off the bottom rail, maybe the side rail, and that's why he missed the 8. Oh, what's happened here? Mr. Bill's missed it. Let's have a look from this angle. Well, I think he can just make enough of that to knock it in. And so free ball. Has he got another lifeline here? And the 9 goes in clean enough. So he finally wins the 7th rack to bring the score to just 4-3 now in favour of Mr. Bill. But again, absolutely no joy in the break. Mr. Bill just chose to push out. This one I think will pass that 7. Yep, plenty of room. And doesn't need to do anything with the cue ball, just roll it in. Cue ball's got to have a shot in the 2 surely. Well, having said that, he's okay. You can see enough of it. Oh dear. And again, it's just about control of the cue ball. Just overdid that slightly. And back out with the jump stick. Missed the 3, but got the second prize. And this looks a tough jump as well. And he just seems to, everybody seems to be that much in a hurry to play shots. I don't know why. They seem to lose all sense of reality and time here. Plenty of time to play a shot. So, Ron, just the 3 balls remaining in this rack and no excuse whatsoever not to run these out. And so just needs to trundle the 9 in, and the match is back all square. And 4 racks all, with Ron breaking in the 9th rack. And he looks as if he's going to scratch. Oh, the cue ball's just held up there. It's going to be difficult to run this rack out with the 8 and 9 tied up as they are. And now probably looking just to hide the cue ball up by the 8 and 9 off this 3. Well, he's went for the bank again and he's got it in the 2nd attempt. Now let's see how he manages to cope with this 8 and 9. And the obvious thing here to do is obvious, you know, he's going to pot the 5 and he's going to roll the 6 in, but he needs to go up the table far enough where the cue ball is almost parallel with that 7 ball, so he's got a nice angle to come off the 7 and send the cue ball off that left rail down the right rail. And again, that was done all wrong, because that's relying on potting that 6 there and actually getting on the 7. He got the split off the wrong ball, in my opinion, there. But what's he done? He's just given it away here to Ron. If he can take the opportunity, I think he's pretty straight in this, and he watches you doing it, you draw into this middle pocket, and that's finished perfect. Perfect because he's closer to the rail than the 8 ball is, and he's got a nice angle just to stun up for the 9. So from 4 racks to 2 down, Ron's managed to get himself in front in the match, I think, more or less for the first time. And he's got balls going in all over the place in this break, and he's got a shot on the 1, so this could really drive home his advantage if he takes this opportunity. And the cue ball's running the wrong side of the 2. I think he wanted to play that into the right hand corner here as we look, so he's got a blind pocket again. And well, hit it so badly he actually nearly got an edge off the 4 ball to sink the 2 off the 4. Now we're going to get a bit of cat and mouse. Now the thing to play here is the thin edge off the 2 and put the cue ball down by the 9, which is what he's tried, and that's not a bad effort. And now I think Mr. Bill is going to try and hide it, and that's not bad. I think there's just an edge. And now again a nice opportunity to get the cue ball down by the 9, and this looks much better. Just a bit too far. Once again, Bill's desperate to try and bank a ball and keep himself going. Always trying to win the rack in one visit. And he's maybe still got away with it, but of course the problem here is whoever can get to this 5 ball. I think if he plays this natural angle, he might be able to get the cue ball down by the 5 and 6. And there's absolutely no opportunity to split this 5 and 6 here off this shot. Well, that is a great shot. Maybe he had a slight angle. I did not think he could do that. And that's worked out well. And this is where, you know, when you're sitting at a camera angle like this and you're not behind a shot, you don't see that they've actually got an angle that they can manufacture that split. That was well played. So now the alarm bells will well and truly be ringing, because Ron's gone to the hill and leads by 6 racks to 4, and Mr. Bill trying to keep it tight. So he's got what he set out to do there. He's forced the error, and this time he's got ball in hand and he really has to run out. And got enough spin on the cue ball just to run down nicely for the 2. And maybe wants to check this shot up here with inside English. Yep, and he's overdone it. A bit too heavy, and the 6 ball's going to ruin his next shot. But no doubt Mr. Bill will be out with the jump stick again. And of course, no real opportunity to get on the 4. Again, he's leaving himself high cuts into blind pockets, and these are just asking for trouble to try and keep potting balls like this all the time. But he gets the cut, and that 9's probably going to ruin the next shot. And just tried to rest the cue ball as close as he could to the 5. Oh dear. Now that might actually finish not too bad. That 5 is Let's have a wee look up here. Well, he could get behind a 5. I think again he's a bit too straight in his 7. Needs to send the cue ball off the bottom rail and back up the table into the heart of the table to get on the 8. And he's done that. So this is Mr. Bill to stay in this match. Needs 8 and 9. So gets it back to just a 1 rack now. And oh dear, disaster. Even bigger disaster. Not only is he scratched, he has left the opportunity of a possible 1-9 combo. But Ron ignoring that, although he doesn't want to get too much pace into this cue ball and block himself behind the 8, and just plays it dead weight onto the rail, and again leaves a nice angle. The difficulty here is making sure you get a decent shot on this 4, and that's going to go in the worst place it possibly could, right behind a 5. That was the problem. And how's his luck with the kick shot? Not very good. Got the hit, but has just left the 4 ball on. And now Mr. Bill's problem is to try and avoid the traffic down at the bottom of the table here when he hits this 4. And this is just about pace, this shot, because we know that the cue ball's going to run to the top rail as we look at it, and just get it out nice and comfortable for the 6. And now he's 2 choices. He can either play this shot with inside English to check it off the bottom rail and bring the cue ball back up, which he's done, rather than the more natural shot would be to let the cue ball run around behind a 7 and back out into the middle of the table. So here's the important shot. He's got himself nicely on the 8 and probably just roll the 8 in and leave the 9 into the left middle. That's what I'd be doing. Nothing over ambitious. And that's what he has in mind. Well, we're going all the way in this match. Mr. Bill ties it up at 6 racks all, and he has the break, of course. And will we finally see somebody run a rack? Well, it won't be Mr. Bill. No joy in the break. And Ron has an open opportunity here to run these out. Needs to play the 2 nice and slow so it doesn't go anywhere away from the corner pocket, and that's worked out wrong because he didn't want the 2 balls to drop, so now he's got no shot in the 4. And that was a poorly played safety, because got the weight of that all wrong, and has left Mr. Bill a choice. You can roll this 4 in and just send the cue ball further down past the middle. And this isn't easy. Let's have a look. Well, the pot is on, but he doesn't want to leave this right next to the rail, so he's played it with pace.
again, this looks a very nice angle for to be able to cut the 7 down the rail and the cue ball off the side rail and across for the 8. And I think he's played that well, because again, he's run far enough that he's got a perfect angle. He can just draw the cue ball up. He doesn't overdo it. He'll scratch. Don't want to go down into this bottom right hand corner, so he's played it with English and went the other way, kicked it across the left side, and Mr. Bill will breathe a sigh of relief as he manages to steal the match in the end and beats Ron by 7 racks to 6. So Ron goes into the one loss side. He's still got a second opportunity in this week's Friday night 9 ball.